Good evening. Boys, thank you all for coming. I know you're all very busy people with beds to lie in for hours, asses to scratch, and shits to take, so we will try to get through this as quickly as possible. An introduction to business by someone who will probably be back in retail or considering rope making in the next few years. Why would anyone get into higher level business? Well, there are two primary reasons. Firstly, you can't start a small business. I mean, you can if you're stupid, and if you are, that's cool, but succeeding in small business takes a very particular sort of stupid most people won't be able to cultivate. Joining a business or a nonprofit as an executive rather than creating your own business creates a layer of security, both in job security and in security from the real world. Business is a bonkers, nonsense, nightmare world, but there is actually an avenue to get up and away from the grim darkness of the 21st century. If you are doomed to misery, then you should find power in misery and cultivate the sort of misery that will make you powerful. I am acquaintances with a guy who does my exact job at a higher level who wants to die and earns 15 times what I do. If you're going to want to die anyway, dying with a lot of money is pretty cool. Another reason might be boredom or a lack of enrichment in your cage. Feeling you are watching other people live and do without living and doing yourself. People in business are mentally ill in the most entertaining ways. You haven't lived until you've watched a morbidly obese man walk into a meeting, shit himself audibly, accuse someone of being a criminal, and then walk out because his sausages are cooking. Whatever, whatever the fuck that means. You choose high level business because despite the high level stress, you are granted daily with high level entertainment. And I forgot I put it in the presentation, but yes, there is a guy who makes a lot of money in my area who just has live in joy servant gimps. You get into business so you can die laughing. Money isn't important, but we'll get to that. Alright, so some basic introduction shit, because you need to know and do a few things if you want to succeed instead of bouncing off this lifestyle. First and foremost, get into a leadership position as soon as possible. You don't actually need to know anything. When you are in a leadership position, you get to learn the leadership skill set, and you are privy both to privileged knowledge and to the best memes. If you don't get into a position you can make other people your bitch, you will be someone else's bitch your entire life, and you don't want that. You are getting into this because you are giving up on a normal life. For better and for worse, mostly worse, you need to organize your life and your mind around your career. And you need to know this is not going to end well. Wake up every day imagining how you're going to die, or how you have already died however many years from now. You need to work backwards. Take the pre-apocalyptic view. You are going to end up there or somewhere like it one day, but by assuming it's inevitable, you can stave it off a little bit. The CEO mindset bullshit is not a joke. The more outlandish and nightmarish and awful and hilarious something is or seems to be as presented as, appears to be satirized as, the more accurate it is in reality, and the more you'll benefit from it by applying it to your life, your situation, literally. Things like material power projection are important. If you have no ice on your wrist, you're a loser. If you have ice on your wrist, but you got it through any means other than mastering the system before you, the invisible hand, you're a loser. However, if that ice on your wrist came from mastery of the game, it does, in fact, weaken or debuff people around you. Flexing on the pores is a valid strategy if you can pull it off. If you can't pull it off, don't try. On that note, commit to narcissism and to conflict. We'll talk more about narcissism later, but you need to develop an identity you can use as a shield and as a sword, and you need to run toward conflict, not away from it. You need to accept the reality of conflict. You need to dip your brain, immerse your brain in Monster Zero Ultra. Alright, let's start with how to face shot your ops in Minecraft. The core uniting emotion or personality trait I've found in this pond is doubt. They're doing this because they doubt something. If you can figure out what each person doubts and why, you'll have more control over them than you would anything else in anyone else in any other circumstance. Doubt is how you play and control people here. That's also why they are really fucked up and weird and difficult to deal with. Keep files upon files of paper trails. Someone at some point is going to accuse you of something. Not accidentally, not in good faith, 100% maliciously. You need to be able to prove them wrong and demonstrate it in a humiliating way with such overwhelming evidence. And if you do this right, you accomplish a few things. One, you establish your reputation as someone difficult to fuck with. Two, you protect yourself, obviously. Three, you take the bead they've drawn on you and put it on them, because all anyone wants to do is tear apart someone they believe deserves it. Someone just tried to put that target on your head. With a paper trail, a robust paper trail, you can put that target back on their head. And then 4, you can intimidate someone actively. You are accusing me of misplacing a few $1,000s. Well, I can prove the money went to you on this date at this time. So, if I'm not the one who misplaced, then you must be the one who misplaced it. In fact, this isn't even a guess. You understand, I can prove the money went to you. I can prove it. How is it going to look when people realize you misplaced a large sum of money and tried to blame somebody else? That sounds criminal to me. That sounds like you could do time over something like that. That's not a small, insubstantial sum of money you tried to get me with. Getting someone who's trying to get you feels very good. And of course, the moment you do this, the problem goes away. Instantly. Anyway, we've talked about keeping people angry before. The angrier everyone is, the better you are. Your friends create opportunities for you to act on their anger. Your enemies get so angry, they act stupid. People are going to ambush you. The first thing you need to realize is their plan doesn't really go any further than that. These people are stupid animals. They don't really want to ensure you stay down. They want the rush of getting you down at all. 2 things about ambushes. 1, If you're caught completely with your pants down, then buy time. Don't say anything, don't give them anything. Do whatever you need to do to buy yourself time to get away and then to come up with another plan. They are going to feel you're beaten and won't be expecting you to fight back. If you fight them then, when they're ambushing you, they really will beat you. If you don't let them beat you at that moment, you can come back and beat them later. Now, if you want to be a little more proactive, create the equivalent of low hanging fruit problems. Do very minor things wrong intentionally. Because again, they don't care about keeping you down or ensuring you stay down. All they want to do is get you on something. You use these minor problems to figure out who wants to get you on something and how badly they want to get you on something. It's a resentment ruler. It's a distraction that buys you time and gives you breathing room to work. Now, of course, your ultimate goal in dealing with difficult people is to marginalize them. You want people not to take them seriously or to take pleasure in not taking them seriously. When you've marginalized someone effectively, they beat themselves up for you by opening their mouths. Because every time they open their mouths, someone else is going to kick them and laugh. Another little strategy, a Weasley one to match a Weasley attack. Someone wants to make you miserable, they're going to make your job annoying. They're going to give you a bunch of bullshit work, tedious work, just to make you unhappy. Now, you need to remember, you are in a leadership position. When they create bullshit work for you, you create bullshit work for them. And the difference here is you justify your bullshit work. They effectively manage to run you around for a little while, but you can soon prove this is nonsense and you don't need to be doing it. What you need to do is take the time, put in the extra work to create bullshit work for them that makes so much sense it becomes part of their routine. Don't question whether or not the work they're trying to push on you is bullshit work. It is. Return the favor better than they can. The next thing to consider is buying a gun. Do everything right. Once you have your license and your firearm, wear that thing around the office. You're the big man. Nobody fucks with you. You don't want to be in a self-defense situation. You don't want to be in a self-defense situation, but if you find yourself in one, unfortunately, you are prepared to defend yourself and your coworkers. Alright, back to your ops. Now, I wrote here, Moo Cows can't hurt you unless you're being stupid. But what does that mean? That means people are animals. All they want to do is take a bite out of you. They don't care how or what they're risking. Now, that's stressful, but if you're aware of it, you're aware of how predictable people are, then they can't hurt you unless you're being stupid. So view them as animals, get used to dehumanizing them in that way, and don't act dumb. On that same note, not all difficult people need something done to them or about them. All you need to do is forcefully or sternly demonstrate how things are going to work. If you put people in line through whatever means you need to use, some people actually do learn their place. Now, they aren't going to stop trying you at intervals, but it's almost like you teach them they can't climb any higher. And they'll still fuck with you, but they won't try to climb any higher. You neutralize their growth or their chaotic ideas, and sometimes that's enough. Don't worry about fairness. People are not going to treat you fairly, ever. Don't waste your time taking considerations for them they will not take for you. Don't get predictable, don't act like an animal, but don't treat them like they aren't animals. Now, we mentioned doubt earlier, but generally, you need to learn people well enough to learn how to bait them into saying or doing stupid shit. And that's good enough on its own because you are humiliating them and marginalizing them further. But one of the most humiliating situations you can put a person in is letting other people know ahead of time what stupid shit that person is going to say or do and when they're going to say or do it by your prompting, and then enjoying the in-joke laughter around the table at the dummy who still hasn't figured out why everyone is laughing. You cannot let yourself become predictable. And this all might sound mean, right? But again, these are the things people do to each other. I made the mistake of trying to be nice to someone recently. What happened afterward? This dummy repeatedly tries to tease me in front of a bunch of people to the point it starts getting uncomfortable. You aren't accomplishing what you're trying to accomplish. You're going to pay for this later. And this is following my trying to be nice to you. Don't make the kindness mistake. Don't view these people as people with feelings and goodness and all this other shit. They are pain nodes, and if you don't pain on them, then they are going to pain on you. And if that makes you uncomfortable, then try to create so many problems for them they can't, well, not that they can't pain on you, but they're too busy putting out fires and doing damage control to try to hurt you. Now, for your friends, or in other words, allies you don't implicitly trust, although implicit trust is going to get you hurt, these are the people who you trust enough. Don't expect them to be very good friends. These are mutually beneficial professional connections, not friendships. There's nothing wrong with that. Understandings are better than misunderstandings, but don't let yourself get warm and fuzzy. Don't fool yourself. And don't rely on them. These are people who streamline something you could do yourself. Now, you make a friend by identifying someone in a position to make your life easier you could get along with. Now, you become their friend by making their lives easier. Now, don't expect them to become friends in kind, or to make your life easier in kind, rather. In fact, I've found most of the time, when you make someone's life easier, they either don't care or actively try to make your life worse. But you can't make a friend by doing nothing. So pick someone you think is suitable and make their life easier. Or another way of putting it, become their friendly, unofficial ex-person. Your blank guy. The person who operates in an unofficial capacity to do this thing for you. You do that, you become that guy, you become him for somebody else. And then you are mutually hims or hers. Now, on this note, I've noticed a pattern in common business hobbies. The first one is guns. For some reason, people in business like guns. That's all of them, that's normal. Now, if someone's main outside work hobby is cigars, they are probably useless. Take advantage of them. Now, if someone tells you they fish, you should be a little bit concerned. However, I've found these are the people probably on your level, even if you don't fish. These are the people who are in it for the memes, have learned a little bit, can share a little bit, maybe won't stab you in the back. Most of my peers fish. Then you have golf. That's where you need to be concerned. If someone tells you they golf and they mean it, there are a lot of fake golfers out there. They are either going to help you get set up for life, or they are going to destroy your organization by creating a more viable competitor. Pay attention to hobbies. This sounds like a meme, but it's more important than you'd think it would be. Now, here's some things for you to do or keep in mind generally. Remember, you are getting into business, a field for irregular people, for irregular reasons. If you try to be a normal person, you're not going to succeed, and you're going to come out of it worse than when you went in. Always thank people, always give gifts. Although you could become wealthy, and that would be cool, you aren't here for wealth. Wealth is a happy byproduct. You're in business because you want to learn how to accumulate and wield power. You're trying to learn how not to be a pussy anymore. And, believe it or not, you can. You actually can. I have been a conflict-averse person my entire life. I have always just wanted everyone to get along. But that's not real. That's not how people operate. And you do this long enough, you eventually accept it and learn to enjoy it. You don't want everyone to get along. If everyone actually got along, if that were even possible, the world would be boring. There are winners and there are losers. And you're in this to learn how to win and beat people who are losers, and they can be beaten. You can learn it. You can actually learn how to beat people. It's mind-boggling. You need to embrace narcissism. Now, I know that is a controversial word. It's an offensive word. People don't like it. It's a new N-word. You need to be a narcissist. Because if you aren't so self-obsessed, you can sell yourself to anybody and be offended when they don't buy you. Not only will you not be able to beat people, which is the goal, but also you won't even be able to get in the front door. You need to be self-obsessed. That self-obsession is a sword and a shield. And I've found when you feel like the stress gremlins, the hate goblins, have their hooks in your skin and in your muscles and are trying very hard to tear you apart, your persona that you've built up will take over. It's like you're freeing yourself, you're saving yourself. You need to stack chemicals. I don't feel alive unless I have caffeine in my system. I drink my caffeine, but then it's a little too wacky crazy, so I smoke. That nicotine focuses that caffeine energy. Noopept is for when you are tired but really need to get something done. Phenylpiracetam is Noopept but a little bit scarier. Kratom calms you down once you are home and through with the day. Kind of like a flushing out the evil substance. And then finally, Video Head Cleaner, PL100. Nothing is more relaxing than, of course, very seriously not letting any of it get on your skin, but maybe not inhaling it up one nostril, holding it in for a little while, exhaling, and then doing it one more time, and then savagely cleaning your electronics. Nothing is more relaxing after a hard day. The next thing to keep in mind is don't let people gaslight you into thinking what they think is more important than what you think, or that they could cause you more problems than you could cause them. Harness your narcissism. You stupid cunt. Do you really believe you could hurt me more than I could hurt you? Financially, in Minecraft, I can make people cry on my behalf. Cry for me, not because of me. What can you do? Do you really think you have that degree of control over people's hearts and minds? Now, maybe they do, but if you're stupid enough, stupid obsessed with yourself enough, you can believe, like a dumb orc, these things into reality. Remember, this is professional wrestling. You haven't lived until you've watched someone monologue, give you a friend's, Roman's, countryman speech about some shit that doesn't matter. The more you can delude yourself, the closer you'll come to deluding yourself into a more powerful reality. Some points on presentations. You aren't funny, you aren't charming, get to the point. When people are combative, don't try to win them over. Present your evidence, which you should have, and just get through it. If they want to contend with something, they can contend with your case, not with you. On that note, don't argue with someone when they try you in a presentation. They aren't trying to debate you and come to the truest conclusion. They are trying to get you. Now, if you're aware that's coming, you can turn this into an excellent opportunity to shut them down and humiliate them. If you didn't see it coming, then revert to the buying time thing, make them argue with your case, not with you, but don't argue with them and don't let them sit here on this. You need to get through it as quickly as you can. And then, later, once you've figured out what that was all about, then you can bait them into doing that same thing again, which they will, at which point you can shut them down the way you should have in the first place. Alright, rushing through the last one, we're trying to keep this to around 30 minutes. You're your organization, not you. Everyone you meet is their organization, not them. Don't view yourself as individuals, view yourselves as arms or limbs of your organizations. Capitalism is slow-acting poison. Poison people with it. Learn to use it. Make them hate it. Embrace conflict, we've talked about. Good people are waiting for opportunities to abuse anyone they are okay to abuse or it's acceptable to abuse. Figure out potential marks for abuse and make very good, humble people aware of them. Compromise is conflict with extra steps. Compromise doesn't actually solve anything. You're just delaying a fight and making nobody happy in the meantime. When you smell conflict, fight. Get it over with. Get used to sacrificing and taking risks for people. It is almost never going to pay off. It's always going to blow up in your face. But the few times it does pay off, it'll pay off big. Don't be afraid to criticize people in writing, online, in emails, something like that, when you are already aware of what other people are thinking. And use that general sentiment to organize that criticism. Because the person you are offending by saying something is going to spread this document, this criticism around. And when people read it and realize they agree with you, they're going to use it as an opportunity to strike this person who's gotten offended at something they believe. They think you believe. Don't be afraid of circulating information when you are on top of it. And that about does it. Thank you for coming to my intro to business presentation. Embrace hell in the organizational sense and as something to strive for.